Good morning. Welcome to this February 21st Board of Commissioners meeting. The first item of business, as always, is public comment, which is for anyone that is not on the agenda or an item that is not on the agenda. Do you have any public comment? Okay, seeing none, I will get moving forward. And the first item, I believe we have Rodney Wan and Dr. Tharp here with the introduction of our new health officer, which we appointed earlier this year. So I'll let you guys go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a great occasion. That's why I wore my formal shirt. I'd like to introduce you to our new health officer for Clinton County, Dr. Melissa Pearson. I think a lot of you know Melissa. She's been in our community for a long time. She did her initial medical school at Wayne State and did a family medicine residency in Texas. She came here along with Dr. Carly Wilson at the same time, although I don't think they were. Did you know each other? No. Not until you got here. But, and she practiced here in my office for a while, and then started doing some hospital medicine and went from there. She also joined our Board of Health as a member of the board in 2016. And from there, she's been a very active member, and we are very pleased. I was very pleased when she approached me and said, "Hey, how much longer do you want to do this job?" And that got me to thinking, how much longer do I want to do this job? And I realized after, I really honestly can't remember when I started, but many years ago, that there was a bit of a learning curve with things, although it was it's gotten a lot tighter since that time. So I started thinking about what we needed to do in order to have somebody be successful as the county health officer. It's a different kind of a job. And the state has been very active in looking at how we do our public health and the things that we need to do. To make a long story short, I thought that the best idea would be to bring her on as a health officer and try to stick around and be helpful. I also just felt like I wanted a good reason to keep my malpractice insurance up. And so I suggested that we bring her on as the new county health officer and kind of throw her in the pool, but also to be around and to be helpful and to explain where we need to do things and how when that first time comes around. I am very honored that the county council and the county commissioners agreed with my evaluation, and I am thrilled to present to you Dr. Melissa Pearson, our new county health officer.
Thank you, Steve. It's nice to meet all of you, and thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here and be part of things with the health department. As Dr. Tharp said, I have been on the board since 2016, so I've kind of seen some of the changes, a lot of the changes, and improvements, and how things have expanded over these last several years. And I think they've been doing a really good job there, and I'm really excited to be part of things now to lead the health department into the future. And we're looking to expand even more and provide more services. And Rodney has a lot of great ideas, and Dr. Tharp and I are on board with that. We're really looking forward to making sure we have enough full-time employees and an administrator that can oversee everything as we expand and hopefully make things as sustainable as possible for the future.
Good, thank you. You guys have any?
Melissa, thank you for joining us. I've had the opportunity to work with you since the day you moved in, practically
Yeah.
several days ago. But I think you'll do very well, and it's great to have you on board.
Thank you.
Thank you for being willing to serve our community in a greater capacity than you already do. That says a lot about you as an individual. And I think it's also important to note, and I think it's important that you live right here in the community, and
Yes.
that's important to us. So we're looking forward to working with you, and we're excited.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I'm glad to finally meet you. I've heard
Yeah.
only good things and look forward to you leading that department into the future. And we're always going to be at your disposal. So if you need anything, please reach out to us, and we look forward to working with you. I do have one other thing that's related to this, because I think since you moved to the health officer, we now have at least one vacancy for, I believe, an MD, correct?
That is correct.
And then
On
we
the board.
also have a vacancy for the general public position. So there's 2 openings on the board. So I don't know if, talked to Rodney a little bit, I don't know if you guys want to give us some names to consider for those, or the process, but I think it's important that we get the board to full staff, so
Absolutely.
we need to be working through that just here in the short
Yeah.
time frame of the next month or so, I think.
So I can certainly speak on behalf of the position that I vacated for the physician. And Dr. Carly Wilson, who Dr. Tharp happened to mention, has worked with me here at Frankfurt for several years. And she and I still work together, actually. And but she would be willing and very excited to serve on the board. So we'd certainly like to present her name.
Okay, all right.
And then, Rodney, perhaps, did you have someone in mind, or do you want to?
Eyes are too, I'm on their board, Okay, maybe send us a email with maybe an official recommendation, so we have it, we can consider that, reach out to those individuals, just have the conversation, so that we're familiar with them, and then, possibly move forward with those appointments, so, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is our clerk, Stephanie Harshbarger, with the election board agreement to use the Edward Jones Building. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning. I'm Stephanie Harshbarger, your new county clerk. I'm here today not only as your county clerk, but as a member of the election board. And on behalf of the board, we would like to get approval for the use of the Edward Jones Building, also known as the 4-H Building, as a vote center. We currently use the EMA building. I feel that the Edward Jones Building would benefit us more with a much bigger building and accessible parking. I'm not only asking for approval, but also a 5-year commitment.
Questions?
None?
I have a couple amendments on the contract, and I emailed you over the weekend, so I'll just point those out. I think there was a section with the termination that allowed the election board to terminate with 60-day notice. I believe the county also needs to have at least a 60-day notice, but I would be willing to go out to 90 days if that gave you more time to find a different location, if that would ever happen in those 5 years. And then the second one was on number 3. It says the leased property in advance of the date of the election. I think it needs to be specific to the dates that are listed in here, so if we can make those changes, I'm good with the contract.
We could make the last change, but the termination part, that really doesn't provide us with the 5-year commitment that we were seeking.
Yeah,
We're willing to commit to the 5 years. We're just saying we want equal protection, that if something comes up and we need to terminate it, just like you have the authority in this agreement to terminate with 60 days advance notice, that we would have the same.
I mean, we would only terminate, we only put that in there really for your guys' benefit.
No.
I mean, we would only terminate if some rare problem happened, like if they were working on the road out front and we couldn't get into the parking lot. I mean, just some really rare instance. We know there's been problems in the past with not a commitment at that location, so that's why we wanted a 5-year commitment.
I think we're willing to do it. I can't agree to it if we're not gonna have the same ability as, to get out of it as the election board. And so I'm willing to extend that longer than 90 days if we need to and work through that, but I think we have to have that option because I hate tying commissioners in the future to something that we agreed to today. That's kind of how I've tried to look at all the contracts in that regard. So that would be where I would stand. But if the other two want to proceed forward with it, they're more than welcome with a motion and get it done. So
You don't think that'll work? I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, when we have an election in May, we have to have it at the same location in November.
Sure.
yeah, and that would still stay in there.
Let's make it 6 months.
So it would not, so what I'm asking is it would not allow for, if it's in May, it would stay there in November.
Yeah.
And then if the following year, it could be, we have the same right that the election board to cancel it before the next election. So it would never be in two different locations. If it's in there in May, it's gonna be there in November. But if it's there in 24, but for some reason something happens that we cancel, but after November 6th of 24, but before the 25 election, that there was a time period for a different location to be worked out. So we
You
can,
don't have to, you don't have to
yeah,
answer
I mean,
right now.
we can
still talk
table
to
it
the
and
board, yeah.
discuss and bring it up at the next meeting. Those are just the changes that, for me to be on board, that's, but you can get 2 other votes too. and
I just
get-
know for like our vote center plan, I mean, we really have to jump through hoops to change our vote center plan. I mean, we have to go to each location, there's picture, I mean, to make things ADA compliant, we have to take pictures, measurements. I mean, paperwork for the state, it's a lot to change that. And then it also additionally, if you don't consistently have the same locations, it can confuse the voters, and it's just,
I don't disagree with any of that.
But I guess what I'm saying is, there's no intent to cancel it once we do it, but there has to be the option in the contract for us. And that's at least been the stance I've taken on all of these things that we've negotiated recently, to have that ability, if things change. But we're moving it from EMA building to, the Edward Jones building if we sign this, starting in 23, right? So, I mean, all those things you mentioned, there's been time to get that done. There will be time to get that done before the 23 election. So if we put 90 days or put it out to 6 months, as Josh suggested, that should still allow enough time for the location to be changed if that would ever happen. There's no intent to do that. I just think I have to look at it, or we have to look at it from the county's point of view and provide that protection both ways.
let me get back
Okay,
to you
so,
on that.
How soon do you need an answer?
I mean, I'd like to be here at the next
Sure.
meeting, for
Okay.
sure.
I think we can get it worked
Yeah.
out by then, so. Do we want a motion to table the contract until, the next meeting?
I would say, I'll make the motion that we table it until to our next commissioners meeting, to sign final.
Okay, all right, 3-0 to table the agreement for the short-term rental of the Clinton County Election Center. Okay, next up is Greg Williamson with the Frankfort Community Library appointment and update. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. So, Mrs. Pam Powers has served the Frankfort Community Public Library Board of Trustees in our community for the last 8 years. And she's coming up on the expiration of her term of service. And so we are requesting and submitting to you the name of Tim Anno as a replacement and for appointment for a 4-year term as a member of the library board.
Okay. Questions, gentlemen?
No,
None.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we accept Tim as our new library board member effective
One,
immediately.
March.
Okay.
March 1st, all right, 3-1. Okay. We have a motion to appoint Tim Anno.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0 for the appointment of Tim Anno to the library board. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Greg.
Next up is Rick Campbell with a highway update. Good morning, Rick.
Last week at the council meeting, I asked the council if we would be interested, if they would let us go ahead and lease 2 new loaders for the 2024 budget, because you need to get on the list and get these built now, because it takes so long to get this stuff. And they agreed, and I just wanted the commissioners' thoughts on it. For 2 loaders, it would be $115,518.20 annually for 5 years. And then we'd have to turn them, then we turn them back in and get two new ones again at the end of 5 years.
Will we turn the 2 we have in now?
Yes.
Okay,
One of them we own and one of them's leased.
okay. So we're
Trading one.
trading one and
Trading one.
and turning the lease.
Right,
on.
and
Okay.
hopefully the one we trade in will be worth enough that it'll make part of the first payment.
Okay. And what brand of loader are we going with?
Caterpillar.
Okay. All right. I have no problem with it. I don't know if you guys
Who's the
have a
lease
question.
with?
Yeah, McAllister's.
Okay.
We've built with McAllister's for 40 years. I've built with McAllister's ever since I've been here.
Okay. I was just curious.
I'm good with
Good.
it. I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to make a motion to that, or you want to just,
Yeah, we probably better.
I'll make the motion that we accept the lease agreement with McAllister for the purchase of 2 new loaders.
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0 to support Rick's decision to move forward with 2 new loaders for the 2024 budget.
And also, the snow we had, the biggest one we had so far, we had a bunch of equipment go down, and we've had to have some stuff in the shop. We got a couple more trucks back last week. There's still 2 trucks in the shop being worked on, and there's still 1 waiting to go. So that's where we are there. Federal aid bridges that we applied for, the state reached out to us, and they're a little short on money, and they wanted us to pay all the
Engineering fee?
engineering fees, thank you. And we told them no.
Amen.
Okay.
Yep.
That means we may not get all the 3 bridges that we asked for, but that doesn't bother me. We'll just apply again next year.
The state of Indiana told you they were short on money?
All right.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
I know. They've done it before. I know they've done it before.
I think I had heard this as well. They're trying to take the dollars they have and stretch
that
it
work.
out over more projects. So they maybe have told him short, but the conversations I had, they were just trying to basically
Spread out what
spread
they
out
got
to more projects. So
And-
that was their,
I know it has something to do with drainage board, but the Hillsburg project, we're started that today
okay.
for the surveyor's office. They're supposed to be out there right now.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Awesome. I looked at Zone R, they was headed that way.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's, we talked about it in drainage board, but it's actually a commissioner project. So thank you for the update.
Yeah.
And also, the little roller that the council said we could get and gave us money for, and then had to reappropriate it again because we forgot to put it in this year's budget. And they approved it again, and so I called the guy, and he said he forgot about us. And wants me to take one at a higher price. I said no. So,
Good for you.
is there any, I don't know if there's any, do they owe us a roller?
Not, I don't believe we have
I
a
don't
signed
have,
contract
I
with
got the
them.
file right here,
No,
nothing with his signature on it, nothing with my signature.
no.
Which I know I signed something, but I don't have it in my file.
Is there other options for the roller, like another
I'm
brand?
just not gonna do anything, I'll just lease one off Cat.
Okay.
If I need one, I'll just lease it off Cat. But, you know, you need advance notice.
Yeah.
If you lease stuff, make sure it's available.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I would just say look into other options and
And I'd
there's
tell
no
him
reason to
that.
do business with that individual or that entity.
No.
when There's
Yeah.
more than one option
Not
out
if you're
there.
gonna forget me.
Yeah, I'd tell him that.
So, anyway, and then, of course, Joanne at the 1st of March is retiring, March 3rd.
Okay,
And we're going to send out an email to everybody, but I just wanted to go ahead and say that we'll have a retirement party for her from 1 to 3 that Friday. And if anybody can't make it and wants to come earlier, that's fine too.
What's the date?
On the
Third.
first,
On the 3rd of March.
on the third.
yeah, yeah.
Friday the 3rd. Let's also, let's put her on the agenda and just recognize her and give her thanks at our meeting on the 6th.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
If she's able to come, ask her and see, but we'll have.
Okay, all right, I can do that. And I think that's all I have. Oh, I know what else I wanted to ask you. I seen in the Daily News where the commissioner, the courthouse was getting AED machines.
Yeah, they're in
I've
stock.
wanted one of those out the highway department ever since they came out.
Okay,
And I was wondering, I have the money, we have the money in the office budget. Could we get one of them too?
yeah, we'll connect you with Steven or Jerry and.
Would it be
'cause we-
possible to get some sort of training for the guys? Just somebody come into the shop and talk to everybody. That's all I want.
Yep, that's what we did here.
Yeah, we do the same.
Maternity leave right now. but
Okay, well, yeah,
But I seen where they cost like $3,000.
I think that was for 2, right?
Yeah, that might
Yeah,
have been for two.
we did,
It was like-
we got 2 of them for
Okay.
3,000.
Okay,
so,
but
do
yeah,
you
we'll
need-
just take the money out of our office budget. But there's a lot of us out there that are, well, there's 8 people that's 50 years old, 6 that are 40, 7 that are 60. And we got one 20-year-old and 2 30-year-olds. We have a 70-year-old man out there. So I'd like to have one.
Yep, so we have
So
one
what's
here
your
too.
point? What's your point there, guys?
We need to get them, we might need them, get them jump started so we can put them in the truck.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
All righty, that's all I wanted.
Have Joe reach out to Jerry. We'll get it
Okay.
coordinated and get you
Alright.
some. All right.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah. Next up is Liz Stitzel with area plan update. Morning, Liz.
Good morning. I don't have a whole lot. We're waiting, on the one house on Farmers Gravel until your March meeting, to discuss that further, and we'll just monitor it meanwhile. Otherwise, I think Kat emailed you the updates on the 2 on 421, and actually one of those now we've met with.
Okay.
So, and we've got a timeline worked out with progress inspections set, so Markham should start to move forward. The other one, we're still fighting getting contact, and the way the courts are, if you can't show someone's notified, it's really, really difficult. And I asked Kat if the house was occupied, but she said no. The problem isn't that they're refusing a certified letter, which we deal with sometimes, and the sheriff's department is awesome in then serving notice, face to face. But even the letters that are sent regular mail are coming back, and they're all just marked vacant. So there's nobody at that property. The taxing addresses that the county has, those are bouncing around too. So I guess the good news is if the owners have fallen off the face of the earth, eventually that's going to go through tax sale. Otherwise, sooner or later on these, something shows up, somebody knows somebody, a phone number comes our way, they pay taxes and you figure out an address that way, but we're kind of stuck on it until we can locate a person. So if any of you happen to hear from somebody and they happen to say, oh yeah, that person lives in South Carolina and I talked to him last week, if we've tried all the phone numbers that we've been given that might match with them and we're not getting a person, on any of them. So we're more than willing to be creative. We just have run out of current options, and even if we were to file it in court, two things will happen. One, the judge isn't going to make a ruling without notifying the owner. But two, we've had one of these before where you couldn't notify. The judge is also going to look at, having the sheriff try to hand deliver that. And if there's no location to deliver to, you just kind of end up stalled out. So
I'll get you the name and address.
that would be amazing, and we'll check that against what we've got and go from there. So anyway, I think that was everything I knew of. I thought you might ask anything I didn't foresee. And
I don't have any questions.
No.
Okay,
all right, well, I hope you guys have a great week.
all right, thank you.
You too.
We have one item under old business, and we've talked about it a few times. This, and it's kind of come to fruition finally, is the opioid settlement committee ordinance. So this is establishing that committee by ordinance so that it'll be in place through at least 2038, when the funds that we're currently scheduled to receive, that's the last year, but there's a handful of other opportunities out there with opioid settlements that the state's involved with, that those funds may be coming to the county as well. So the ordinance establishes the committee, which will have the mayor of the city of Frankfort, one representative from the Frankfort Police Department, one commissioner, one representative from EMS, one representative from the sheriff's office, one representative from community corrections, one from Clinton County Probation, and one from Clinton County Health Department, and then also the two community entities would be one from Inwell as well as Healthy Communities. And so all of those, other than obviously the mayor of Frankfort, shall bring the suggested rep to the commissioners for final approval and ratification. We have all those currently in place as that committee started meeting back in September, but this would be the official adoption of that. So I'll open it up for questions or comments on it, or
No questions.
No questions.
or motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 2023-01.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion carries 3-0 to approve the opioid committee ordinance. Our first item under new business is we have an engagement letter that we would need to approve, and also for my signature, is only one at this point, from RPM Asset Valuation, which is part of the bond process for the new annex, as well as the renovation of the courthouse, requires that we have both properties appraised. So I believe, Tom, we have to have two, right?
Correct.
This is the first engagement letter that we have.
Yeah, there's two of them, and so the other one should be forthcoming.
Okay, all right. So I'll entertain a motion to approve this engagement letter for the appraisal of the courthouse and annex.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0. Next up, we have, if you recall, we had brought up last year about creating more transparency as well as communication in terms of signage seems to just pop up on county properties without talking to anybody. And so we put it out there that we were going to do essentially just a form so that it was in the minutes and records. And so we have one here from St. Mary's Frankfort Knights of Columbus for their annual fish fry, to put a sign up from February 24th, which is passed, to April 7th for their annual fish fry. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the signage of the St. Mary's Frankfort Knights of Columbus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion carries 3-0 to approve the signage. Our next item is, it's not really discussion, but it's the idea of the attorney privilege. And so we have two options for this regarding the litigation. A lot of litigation that's going on is to waive the attorney-client privilege or to exercise our attorney-client privilege. So I'll entertain a motion to make a decision on that.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Commissioners, as the executive of Clinton County, assert its attorney-client privilege to the fullest extent allowed by law in connection with any court proceeding in which Sheriff Richard Kelly or Matron Ashley Kelly is a party.
Second.
Okay. Motion carries 3-0 to exercise the attorney-client privilege. Next up is the 2022 Highway Annual Operation Report. Do you want to do an encore, Rick?
I think that's a no.
No? Okay. All right. Well, then I'll do it for you, I guess. This is the annual report, which Rick had sent over of the county highway. They have a multitude of funds, motor vehicle restricted, road and street, Cume Bridge, as well as community crossings. And so this is just the receipts, which we have to turn in and requires all 3 of our signatures on it. So if there's no questions on it or comments, and I don't think, doesn't look like Rick has anything, so I'll entertain a motion to approve this annual operation report for 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0 to approve the highway annual operation report for 2022. Department heads. See a few in the crowd. Do we have any department heads that want to come up today? Rodney?
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Do have just a few things to comment on. We applied I think it was the 15th of February here for our 7th year of the immunization grant. Just making you aware that we entered into that and made that commitment this year. It was just under $72,000 that we're asking for, which is about twice as much as we got the first 2 years of our grant. Part of that is extended hours for our immunization nurse, whom is continuing to try to do catch-up immunizations as well as take on the additional immunization requirements that schools and children are having to meet in the upcoming years. So also that grant pays for the clerk that assists us with making appointments, doing recalls, reminder visits, and helps with filing that paperwork so the nurse can concentrate on getting the shots done. So just wanted to make you aware. That grant will probably be absorbed into this additional funding situation that we're all somewhat aware of, that I think we'll have answers sometime in April on. So, but in anticipation of the final year that we might be available, I wanted to, apply for it. I also have a report I'll send to Jerry to get to you. That is the 2 state grants that we mandatorily get by state statute. They're per capita grants that we've operated on for years. I gave a report to the council last week, I believe it was, but I'll make sure to get those to you as well as our annual report, which we internally produce. So you have an opportunity to look at the numbers from 2022 as well. So just to make sure that you are as well informed what all we're doing as we start looking at services that the state will probably ask for in return for these additional funds. So,
Questions?
I do not.
None.
Do you know, I haven't followed it for a couple weeks now, has the public health bill that would increase the funding for counties, did it pass committee, or is it still in committee, or have you been following it that closely?
I saw one video where they were presenting to committee. Dr. Tharp, do you know where stages it's in at this point?
I'm not sure exactly where it is at this point, but there's really been very little opposition to it, so I don't see to have that come through. But state legislature to kind of balance with their time in order to push things before they get to these.
Yeah, I'll check on it.
And I can send you that link. I don't know if you had access to it already, but the State Health Commissioner and others were there off that task force that were presenting to a committee at that point. So, and I found it very interesting, some of their questions and all. Like Dr. Tharp says, I have not heard of a lot of opposition to it at this
Okay.
point. So I know the State Department of Health is still working with a internal group, and not just internal, but selected throughout the state, to determine key performance indicators for the different core services that would be asked to be done in addition to what we currently do, which is differing from every community in Indiana, which is part of the reason we're looking at a standardized approach. So,
Okay,
okay.
thanks. Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, thank you.
Any others? Sheriff? Morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
Just a couple things on vehicles in the fleet. I know that it's been a little bit since we talked about it, but transferring a vehicle to probation so that they would have a passenger vehicle to drive. I think it was last year at some point in time. I have one vehicle that is a proper vehicle. It's a Dodge Charger, and I think Councilman Mink may have bought that in 2012. So it's been taken out of service, and it's either prepared for trade or probation. We could transfer that through whatever paperwork that we need to do, get that to the probation department so that they have a vehicle to drive. I know that I don't know if they have one or that they still have one, but Nancy had asked if we could do that. So it's been right at a year. I'd like to get that transferred over to them. We've got it cleaned up, and it's pretty much ready to go. Also, the vehicle, there's a vehicle that's available. The coroner, Ed Kripe, has reached out and said to have an extra vehicle. So we do have a Ford Explorer that we could transfer over to Mr. Kripe at the coroner's office. So I can get you emails on the VIN numbers and get everything sent over to you, and that way you know what vehicles, if that's okay with you guys, to transfer those assets.
Yeah, I'm fine with it, so.
Okay. I'll get you the email, and then and it'll probably be a week. We've got to do a little bit of work on the Explorer to get it to the coroner's office, but we'll get that done. And then obviously the repairs, things like that, gas. I don't know about gas cards, and I guess we'll figure that out with Chief Deputy Mayfield, getting that transferred over to them. Okay. We also have a replacement vehicle for transport. Special Deputy Dillingham, his vehicle for doing transports, I think it's 2014, using the misdemeanor fund to replace it with a 2023 Traverse. So misdemeanor fund, I've already talked to Mr. Barton. We're all set on and ready to move on with that. But we'll take that money out of the misdemeanor fund just to keep you apprised of what's coming.
Okay.
All right, and I'll get you an email on the 2 vehicles to trade.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Any other department heads? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to commissioner reports. Gentlemen?
I have none.
None? I have one quick one. The end of January, 1st of February, we had our annual meeting with our insurance, Todd Jackson of McGowan. And as you guys remember, we had, for the budget, it's always tricky because we do that in June and we have to kind of project a year in advance. And so at the time, we took the general liability as well as the workman comp up roughly 17%. But our final numbers for our insurance are going to come in closer to 7%. So we should have some savings there. But as you guys know, when we add vehicles and assets, those change. So it won't be just apples to apples, but just a general idea, it should be less than what we had budgeted on those two. So that's the only item I have. So we will move forward to our claims. The first claim is from February 10th in the amount of $8,635.84. Claim from February 17th in the amount of $3,783.85. Biweekly claims from February 21st in the amount of $804,293.60. Court claims dated February 21st in the amount of $33,715.64. And then the opioid settlement claims from February 21st in the amount of $103,050.
Motion to approve claims?
Second.
Motion carries 3-0 to approve the claims. We have payroll dated January 21st in the amount of $484,734.19.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries 3-0 to approve payroll. Lastly, we have regular minutes from February 2nd, 7th, and that's the only minutes, so.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion carries 3-0 to approve minutes. Is there any other business that needs to come before the commissioners this morning? Okay, seeing none, our next meeting will be on Monday, March 6th, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have an idea for,
So that you guys
Joe,
know I
don't
can
let me
be
get
at
that.